As of 3 p.m. this afternoon, a total of 110 evacuation centers were opened throughout Fiji, with 1,837 evacuees occupying these evacuation centers. The breakdown is as follows. In the Northern Division, we have 8 with 235 evacuees. In the Western Division, we have 76 evacuation centers with 1,049 evacuees. In the Central Division, we have 28 with 553 evacuees. There is no one seeking shelter in any of our evacuation centers in the Eastern Division. While the Eastern Division may have been spared by the current adverse weather this time, the Commissioner Eastern and his team are still monitoring the situation, and should the need for any evacuation centers to open, his team is ready to facilitate. I wish to again urge the general public living in high-risk flooded areas that if you feel the need to move, please do so during the day. We must remember that the lives of first responders are also of paramount importance to us. Thus the need for you to move while it is still daylight. In terms of monitoring of evacuation centers, our officers are closely working with the police and the Ministry of Health and medical services to ensure the safety of all evacuees, that COVID-19 protocols are strictly adhered to. We are also now gathering disaggregated data for all evacuees who are being billeted in all evacuation centers, so that we provide the right assistance to those that may be urgently in need of it. The Ministry, together with our partners, such as the Fiji Police Force, had pre-positioned some key assets and stores and rescue capabilities in the division as part of its cyclone preparedness programs. Some of these are being used in the current operations. My fellow Fijians, government is doing all it can to ensure that there is no disruption to major infrastructural services such as roads, water, and power supply. We are closely monitoring and working with our infrastructure service providers to ensure that effective restoration works are concluded as soon as weather permits. We will ensure that no one is left behind and that you receive the services you deserve from government. I can confirm that the Energy Fiji Limited has successfully restored full power supply in the Central Division, while works on the inspection of transmission lines in the West have been affected by the current adverse weather. However, we have been assured by EFL CEO that they will resume works as soon as the weather gets cleared. Ladies and gentlemen, the outbreak of communicable diseases are common in the aftermath of disasters, such as cyclones and floods. To help prevent any major outbreak of contagious diseases such as leptospirosis, typhoid, diarrhea, and dengue fever, or LTDD, the Ministry, with the assistance of our teams on the ground, intend to visit affected communities to not only raise awareness but also to educate the affected population on the importance of practicing good hygiene and adhering to health advisories for their own safety. Together with the Ministry of Health and Medical Services, we will be working to ensure communities are well informed about what needs to be done to protect them from contracting such diseases. In the meantime, I urge you to boil all drinking water, avoid swimming and wading in flooded areas, cover food, and practice hand washing at all times. And if someone in your family shows symptoms of leptospirosis, typhoid, diarrhea, and dengue fever, seek medical assistance immediately. I also want to remind us that we are in the middle of the third wave of COVID-19. Please follow the instructions issued by the Ministry of Health and Medical Services. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now planning our initial damage assessment at the divisional level to ascertain the magnitude of damages caused by TC Kodi. We are working with our key partners on having water pumps ready for cleaning and also disinfecting our schools that were used as evacuation centers to ensure school resumes when required. Finally, I urge parents to please supervise your children at all times. We are still seeing children and adults swimming and crossing flooded rivers and walkways. We urge the general public to take the necessary measures to ensure lives are not put to risk. Families and communities are urged to be on the lookout for members of vulnerable groups in your respective communities. And finally, keep monitoring the latest weather updates issued by authorities and remain alert. I thank you, and I can take a few questions if need be. There?
Minister, thank you very much for your update on the evacuation centers. Can you tell us more specifically about the COVID protocols in these evacuation centers, with particular emphasis on how you're making sure you know the COVID status of people who are coming in and how you're keeping those at risk away from the rest?
Thank you for the question. That's very, very relevant. We have liaised very closely with the Ministry of Health, but we understand the fact that the Ministry of Health will not be available in all evacuation centers, and that is why they have given us the necessary guidelines as well. All civil servants in Fiji are aware of the COVID protocols, but Health is emphasizing that we divide the evacuation centers into two simple zones, sort of a red zone and a green zone. Red zone is where we have the highly vulnerable, those particularly that are not vaccinated, and those that have known cases for that matter, and of course those that may be developing symptoms as well. And then in the green zone we will have those that are asymptomatic and those that probably don't have any indications of COVID as well. And of course we emphasize just the normal safety protocols, masking, hand sanitizing, washing, and of course social distancing as well, and minimize the gathering within the evacuation center. So we work in the respective evacuation centers. And on that note, may I also add that we will also later liaise with Health if there is need to visit these evacuation centers. And for those that may be injured, let alone those that are showing symptoms, but those that may suffer injuries as well. This is normally in our evacuation centers SOPs, and we will try and get them when weather permits, and of course if the situation does allow as well, and if there is a need to.
Minister, given that we're in the middle of the third wave, your team, your staff, the civil servants who are now coming under your operations to be running COVID protocols and COVID protection guidelines, are you worried about their safety? What steps are you taking to make sure they don't contract COVID?
That is always a priority for us, the safety of our own people, and that is why I'm also urging the general public, if they have to move, please do so during daylight, because we are not God. We are also humans, and we are exposed to the same threats. And therefore, for COVID protocols, we ensure that they are, and most civil servants definitely, are all vaccinated, some with their booster shots as well, and of course, just the necessary protocols as well. And we will ensure through the divisional commissioners and director and DMO that as we deploy, we have to lead by example and show respect to the COVID protocols as well, so that we help Health in minimizing the spread of COVID. Any further questions, please?
I just wanted to ask, in light of the flooding and all of this, there have been reports of a couple of residents in the Western Division who are without water, and I noticed that you mentioned trying to prevent LTTDs, and you're also going to be hearing water problems for cleanup and whatnot. Has there been any discussions with other stakeholders to provide people without water with water during this time, considering you're also trying to keep a handle on LTTD?
Thank you. Water is a basic need, and definitely that's high in our priority list. Water Authority of Fiji is assuring us that they will provide if it's within their influence. And of course, we are also looking at options. We have clusters and our other key partners who are also available to assist us in any way. And of course, on that note, worst case scenarios, we have also checked with the Water Authority of Fiji about the availability of their systems that we can use outside the normal reticulation system that we have. And that is also serviceable, and it's ready for use, so we'll ensure that people are provided with clean drinking water when they are in the evacuation centers. And most importantly, and that is something that has been emphasized by the director this morning during our brief, that before returning people to their respective communities, we have to ensure that their communities are also up to standard in terms of hygiene standards, and make sure that those are clean as well. And of course, for evacuation centers, which our children will later use for schools as well. So we ensure that water is available, and outside Water Authority, we hope that we can get the necessary assistance from our partners, particularly those that are within the cluster setup.
Minister, can you tell us about, you mentioned that we continue to face risk until the middle of the week. Can you tell us which communities are most at risk right now, and when can we expect schools to reopen for classes?
I will say that it's the whole of Fiji. In fact, we raised that question this morning. The current weather forecast still applies for the whole of Fiji. But if you see the track taken by TC Cody, it's taking a southwest and then a more southerly direction, and then it will probably develop into a category 2 as it exits our zone. But despite that, the rain that comes with TC Cody is for the whole of the Fiji group. Although there will be varying levels of rainfall in the different regions throughout Fiji. That is why we have asked the Commissioner Eastern to be prepared, because it is exiting through the Eastern Division. I know that Kandawu has been mentioning strong winds and of course heavy rainfalls as well. There may be some slight differences in the rainfall patterns, but this threat is for the entire Fiji group. Let's not be deceived that weather conditions are improving in some areas, but definitely it's going to come back because the whole system remains, as I've stated, until around midweek. So it's best that the whole of Fiji keeps on preparing and be on the alert.
So, just regarding the evacuees in the evacuation centers, can you just say whether they are being provided for in terms of food and maybe for infants? That's something that's...
Thank you. We have, since the last tropical cyclone Yasa and Nana, we have developed the evacuation center SOP. That is to improve the current processes and systems, and helps all the stakeholders in terms of the services provided to. So that is a positive based on the learning experiences from the past. Definitely, we always encourage people to bring in food when they come to the evacuation centers, because definitely it's a known fact that government will not be providing immediately. But once they are in the evacuation centers, particularly government-designated evacuation centers, government will look into the needs, and that is what the divisional commissioners and the teams on the ground are doing now. And then we will look what can be provided by government, and of course our stakeholders are willing to help as well. And that is why the assessments that are ongoing becomes critical. But definitely we will look into the needs of the people in the evacuation centers, not only food, but of course health and other needs as well.
Minister, can you tell us about your other partners, the diplomatic support you get and the civil society partners? Can you tell us where are they in your operations? What are they doing?
Thank you. We are convening currently just the emergency committee as the situation develops, and now just today Tropical Depression 03 Foxtrot has been upgraded to Tropical Cyclone Kodi. And of course with that we have activities and other coordinated assistance through our friends and partners as well. There has offers are already in place, but of course we have our systems. Definitely we will work through the clusters, and then through NDMO and Ministry of Foreign Affairs we will convene perhaps a meeting and a briefing for all our key partners, particularly at the bilateral level, and of course the multilateral agencies. But definitely they are always ready and available. As information becomes clearer, we will convene the meetings, but that does not mean that they are not aware. They are already aware, because they have their own liaison officers that communicate directly with the director, and they have most of the information in place. But definitely we will look at perhaps tomorrow whether there is a need to convene a council meeting, and perhaps after that then we will through Ministry of Foreign Affairs brief our friends and partners. Yeah. Now, well, sir, thank you. Perhaps my only further request is, if there are informations that come your way, because sometimes they call the media as well, please let us know, particularly when it comes to 11th hour rescues. Please do let us know. Director is there, and of course our new divisional deputy secretary. We would be happy to work with you in that, and of course the sharing of information is very, very critical for all of us as well. So if you have any information that will help Director NDMO and her team, please do convey to us, and we will ensure that we attend to those requests and informations that you will provide for us. But thank you once again, and we'll provide you more updates as the situation unfolds. And enjoy the evening.